The team to start against France this Sunday is Cian Healy. Rory Best will be captain. Craig Furlong, James Ryan, Ian Henderson, Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Fleer and CJ Stander. And in the backs, Conor Murray, Jonathan Sexton, Jacob Stockdale, Bundy Arkey, Gary Ringrose, Keith Earls and Rob Carney. And the replacements are Niall Scannell, Dave Kilcoyne, John Ryan, Alton Delan and Jack Conan. And on the bench in the back line is John Cooney, Jack Carty and Jordan Lama.
Just in general, Joe, what was your thinking behind that team selection?
It was about giving a bit more opportunity. Great to have CJ back in there, James Ryan, Rory Best, those guys who've been rested from the last game. Jack Conan was initially due to start against Scotland, so we wanted to give him an opportunity to get back in with a foot in the door and demonstrate what he can do off the bench, and to spread the opportunity again at hooker, at prop. The second row, as tempted as we were with Tyke Byrne, he's been a little bit sore this week, still coming back after injury, and so Alton Delan has played really well for us. I think his tackle count was high against Italy. The number of positive involvements he was involved in were really good as well, and so we wanted to reward that performance. We have had some other guys in the squad because we are continually trying to get opportunity and get time with players. So Ross Byrne has slotted straight back in and done a really good job. Obviously Rob Herring has been in and Kieran Marmion has been in as well. And so those guys all come into the reckoning potentially next week as well.
So it's disappointing. Did you say Tyke Byrne was injured, was he, or would he?
He's just a bit sore, and so he was in the mix, but he's going to get the weekend off and he'll come back in fresh to train next week, and again we'll make some decisions next week.
And why did you decide not to put Sean O'Brien in the squad?
Sean, again, as I've already said, Jack Conan was going to be given the opportunity against Scotland and he didn't get that opportunity, so we wanted to give him that chance. Josh van der Fleer has had less time than Sean really, so Josh hasn't let us down at all. Josh started last year against the French and unfortunately got that knee injury, so it's a perfect opportunity to put him back in there, and he's very much keen and ready to go.
Joe, for all the players coming back in, would you have liked if you had more of a headache maybe after the Italy game, that you might have had more question marks as to whether they would automatically come back in?
I think we were always going to try to spread the load across the Six Nations, which is a little bit different from what we've done in the past, but we've probably got a slightly different brief, the Six Nations, as much as we want to stay right in the mix, and there's an opportunity this Sunday to stay in the mix, and we're desperately keen to do that. So there were some guys who would have been disappointed with their performances against Italy, and at the same time, as I said, Alton Delan, for example, he pressed his claims, and that's what we want to see. Whenever anyone gets an opportunity, that they do press their claims.
You mentioned some guys frustrated with their performances. We could see that in the Italy game. I mean, have you felt that in camp over the last week or so? You know, is there a frustration there?
There was certainly a frustration for everyone, even coming in at half time in Italy. But I thought the way they fought their way through, it wasn't perfect. It was far from it, and we were disappointed with our performance against Italy. But collectively, you can't afford to be held back by what's happened. You've got to be able to push forward and deliver what's going to happen next. And so I think the team have picked themselves up really well from that Italy performance, and I think as well people probably underestimate how tough it is in Rome, going and being put under pressure by Italy. I know Wales didn't get a big score there either, and they turned around the next day and managed to get a result over England. So I think for things to turn around, every game is a little bit of a new experience. It's a new challenge, and hopefully we can demonstrate that we're very much up for this challenge on Sunday.
Joe, I know this is never about you, but has it struck you at all that Sunday is your final Six Nations game in Dublin as head coach, and I guess your final competitive game as head coach in Dublin? I briefly mentioned it to my wife yesterday when I called in at home, and it is one of those things that will be hard to say goodbye to. I've got to say, we've had some great years, some great occasions in the Aviva, and it'd be great if this is another really positive experience. And we've been working toward that this week, but it is certainly about the performance. Players play under those circumstances all the time. You never know when your next cap is coming and the length of your career. So I guess coaches operate like that as well, You can be chopped at any time. So for me personally, I think this end of the week it's very much about the players anyway, and they really take control, and they're the ones who will put the performance together. And it's one of those things that when you are going to move on and not be involved in the game, there's things that you're going to miss for sure.
Joe, Steve Hansen continues to call you the best team in the world, and obviously when he said that after the game in November, he called it kidology then. I mean, he's talking about pressure. Do you think it's still kidology now, or has the pressure stopped?
Look, you don't have to look too far back. Probably the All Blacks are the only team who consistently stay at the top. You consider England, Six Nations Grand Slam. They get the Six Nations the following year, and the following year they're fifth. How does that happen with most of the same personnel? It is one of those things that it is a little bit difficult. I know, even talking to Frank Azema in Claremont, champions one year, 10th the next. How does that happen? And it's not an apathy, and it's not an overconfidence. I'm not sure how you might explain it, but there's a real forward thinking about the group. So what's happened last year is certainly last year, because last year's results don't help you win anything this year. In fact, if anything, I think Steve is suggesting it hinders you winning things this year. It certainly puts a target on you. There's no way that people come here and don't want to beat a team that's ranked where we are, or a team that achieved what they did last year. But for us, it's all about what we can achieve, and not even in this year. It's what we can achieve in just over 48 hours' time.
Joe, did the performance against Italy throw up any new problems that you'd identified after the Scotland match, or were you asking each other in camp the same questions that you were asking after the Scotland match?
No, I was really happy with a lot of what happened in the Scotland match. They're a hard team to beat. You go there and you win by 9 points after losing your number 10, who's orchestrating the play after the first quarter. And after the first quarter, you're up 12-3, and then you get an intercept try and put yourself under pressure. And you've got a youngster there who's given the pass for that intercept try, and you're feeling that pressure. Yeah, we could have been more accurate, but it was a little bit the same in Italy, where on the back of line breaks, balls went down. In set plays, we lost balls, or we won them and then put them down again. So, we're not as cohesive as we'd like to be at the moment, based on our last performance, our last three performances probably. But I don't think that's going to affect what we deliver on Sunday. I'd like to think that we can get out and deliver a really good performance.
Did you address any mental issues in the camp, as opposed to just getting the technical aspects right?
I think we always want to be really well prepared mentally, and we use a little bit of support externally, and at the same time we have a pretty thorough kind of way of trying to make sure that everyone is on the same page, that the confidence is there, that the belief in each other, because you've got to have trust on on a rugby pitch. So, if I'm trying to do a bit of his job because I don't quite trust him to do that, then I'm not going to get my job done right. And so, that the mental preparation to make sure that you're ready to do your job and that you're going to trust others, and you've seen that they're doing the same preparation. I think that's part of what we've always done. I know there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, what can we change? What can we change?" I think a lot of what we did last year is still just as relevant if we want to win games as it is for Sunday in 48 hours' time. And so we've just got to make sure that we can deliver on it and be more accurate doing it. It's a couple of the passes that went down against Italy, they were just poor passes. And a couple of the set pieces we didn't get what we wanted from. It was a real mix of things that we've got to make sure that trust, that cohesion is there, because there are a lot of moving parts. Even in a set piece, there's a lot of moving parts, and even though in a scrum it doesn't look like it moves very far, there's a lot of moving parts that need to be connected to make sure that you're as strong collectively as you can be.
Which fans do you think is going to show up?
Yeah, I think they've got a bit of confidence out of that Scotland win, particularly getting the bonus point at the end. I've kind of gone online and listened to what Louis Picamol said, Girardo, Fiku, and again, they're saying that what they did against Scotland doesn't necessarily mean that it gets repeated in Dublin, but they're driven to deliver that and a bit more. And they've obviously focused on a couple of areas in the game that are in the media anyway now, that they need to be really competitive and combative in if they are going to come to Dublin and get a result.
Peter, there's a lot of talk about the young players in the French team. Is it up to you guys to, maybe put the fear into them and let them know they're on the test arena now at a high level?
Look, every time we come out against any team in the Aviva, it's our home. It's a place we want to set our tone in, and it doesn't matter hugely who's there. We always pride ourselves on our home performances, and obviously the last one we've been here, we didn't get the result that we wanted or the performance. So, it's up to us certainly to get ourselves right. We've had a great training week. I've really enjoyed the last few days training. We've got some good detail done, but we've got some good hard work done as well. And we know better than anyone, your week's preparation is a huge step forward to putting that, I suppose, that physical performance in at the weekend. And that's going to be certainly very important in the Aviva.
Okay, guys, we're going to. Do you feel you need to be owed to yourselves to provide a performance that you will be ultimately happy with yourselves?
Look, we're a competitive side. We enjoy the game because we love doing what we do and we want to win. We're a competitive bunch of people, and we've had a taste certainly last year of what we can do. We haven't been overly happy with what we've done over the last 3 games, but the 23 we've got a chance to perform at the weekend. They know how important it is that we put in a performance, not just for ourselves, but for a few other people important to us as well.